Folks, I'm deeply troubled right now, and if this reaches the right audience, I'd appreciate some perspective. The main question that I'm grappling with right now that I'll unpack more is, what is going to yield the greatest happiness and contentment in my life right now? Is it using my free time to work to obtain a career that brings me fulfillment, or just leaning into the joys of life outside of work, like spending time with friends and family, exercising, hobbies, being outdoors, stuff like that? The investment of time into doing the introspection, the reflection, the research, the experimentation, which is required to develop your understanding of what work will ultimately fulfill you, is a direct sacrifice and time taken away from using your finite time on this earth to just spend time with loved ones, do things you love outside of work. And it goes both ways too. Like, time spent just smelling the roses is time taken away from you carving your path to a fulfilling career. If you're unfulfilled with your career, it's essentially asking if you should spend your free time on fun or more work. And the goal of that work, the introflection, the experimentation, is to hopefully put you in a better place where your work and fun or fulfillment overlap, so you don't have to sacrifice one for the other as much. You always hear that proverb or life lesson where people on their deathbeds reflect on their lives, and they never say that they wish they worked more, but they wish they spent more time with their loved ones. And maybe that's easy to say when you're at the end of your life and you've experienced it all, but when you're in your 20s and you're not a parent, it feels like finding purpose in your work is the easiest way to be fulfilled. And maybe it's assumed that these folks on their deathbeds worked jobs that they didn't particularly like, but if they chased their dreams and built an extremely fulfilling career, would that proverb be different? When you spend the majority of your time working a job that makes you feel more unhappy than happy, particularly because you feel that what you're doing isn't important or valuable or aligned to your mission and purpose, it can be hard to just move on with your day, turn that part of your brain off, and enjoy the joys of life I mentioned earlier. Like, how can I just close my laptop and say, okay, on to something fun now, in a positive attitude, when what I just did for the last 8 to 10 hours generally upset me, and it'll most likely be a similar experience tomorrow, the next day, and indefinitely, unless something changes? I am fully, entirely, absolutely aware that this is such a privileged problem for me to have. To be in a position where I have my needs met, I have disposable income, I have good family in my corner, is all something I don't take for granted. And it makes me feel even more guilty and ungrateful when I'm having thoughts like these. And ironically, what makes these feelings more prominent is the fact that I live in San Diego, where most people are leaning into the joys of life as opposed to chasing more fulfilling work. You'll find that people here get together and play beach volleyball, surf, hike, go on walks by the beach, just engaging in outdoor activities. And I love all these things. But when you aren't fulfilled at work and you haven't accepted work as a means to an end, it can make it way harder to just context switch, kind of split your brain, and just enjoy those few hours of the day you have left. It's almost like just ignoring the elephant in the room of what takes up most of your life, which is your work. So here we are again. I'm presented with the question: how do I spend my free time? Do I invest it in developing my career, which I spend most of my time doing, to make it more of an end? Or do I just spend my time doing fun things? The answer is likely somewhere in the middle, balance, yada yada. But the way my brain works is that you can only prioritize one thing at a time. And the more time you spend on that one thing, the quicker you'll get to achieving that goal. And if you prioritize two things, then you're just diluting your progress across two conflicting goals. A part of me is envious of the folks who are able to accept their work as a means to an end, as a way to fund their 5 to 9 after their 9 to 5. Sometimes it feels like folks with very, very low IQ and very, very high IQ arrive at the same destination or conclusion, which is to not take a career too seriously, work a job you can tolerate, one that allows you to enjoy the joys of life as much as you can. Although the very high IQ person may have gone through the mental anguish, the existential crises, came full circle and eventually came to that conclusion, and the low IQ person may have just never questioned the way they view work. They ultimately view work similarly. It's a similar concept to this meme my friend sent me, which I'll throw up on the screen. And this describes the thought process of folks across the IQ spectrum as it relates to their careers. The difference is this meme is saying that those in the middle are chasing money and prestige. How nice would it be to stop trying so hard to do the constant thinking, the introspection, the research, the personal projects, to uncover and develop those passions that you can hopefully one day translate into your work and your livelihood. But even if you're lucky enough to accomplish it, you have artists, creatives, athletes who have done it and say once you get to that level, it takes the fun out of what you fell in love with to begin with. But at the same time, you also hear, find what you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. So there's all this seemingly conflicting information and guidance out there, and for people who haven't lived a full life yet, it's hard to know which one to follow. So what should I prioritize at this stage of my life right now? Chasing meaningful work and using work as my outlet for my purpose, or just continuing to work a manageable job and enjoying the life that it affords me? To make matters more confusing, people say that when you become a parent, your purpose shifts and your priority becomes your children and being a good parent. So then at that point, does it become easier to work a suboptimal job because you have a greater purpose and more reason to make money? Do you naturally become less interested in your own dreams? What if I never become a parent? Then what? Should I focus on achieving my work dreams now while I can? Or is it futile because once I have kids, I won't care? Should I just chill the freak out and stop thinking? Let me know. Thanks.